Thanks for stopping by the Surge T channel. I am Surge T. In this video, I'll be giving my review of Top Gun Maverick starring Tom Cruise. So let's not waste time. Let's get into it and let's get into this review. Pete Maverick Mitchell returns to Top Gun to instruct a new team of the most elite, best fighter pilots in the world. Their mission to fly and take out an unsanctioned uranium enrichment plant. We meet the pilots, call signs Hangman, Phoenix, Coyote, Fanboy, Payback, and the one named simply Bob. It's a seemingly impossible mission, no pun intended, and Maverick only has 3 weeks to whip them into shape and get them mission ready. In the meantime, he is butting heads with Rooster, who is the son of Goose, Maverick's wingman and best friend who perished in the first film, and says one last farewell to Iceman, who is dying of cancer. Maverick always had Iceman in his corner and was saved numerous times from being grounded, because if not, he would have lost his career. But with Ice's death, Maverick lost his teaching job because Iceman wasn't there to save him, as what was said to by the commander of Naval Air Forces who goes by the call sign Cyclone. Well, despite this, he does get back into the program and the mission by proving the mission can be done. He does, and the mission is successful, but Maverick and Rooster are shot down and look to acquire an enemy F-14. They acquire said aircraft and soon find themselves in a dogfight with enemy craft. They are able to rid themselves of all of them except one, but at the last second, Hangman swoops in and takes them out. Back at the carrier, they all celebrate, and Maverick and Rooster come to a touching moment as they finally let bygones be bygones. We see both Maverick and Rooster work on his P-15 Mustang. We see pinned photos of younger Maverick and Goose, alongside that a photo of Rooster and Maverick embracing each other. And in the end we see Maverick and Penny fly off into the sunset in the P-51. But that's a recap of the plot of the film Top Gun Maverick. Now it's time to give my thoughts on this film. I've been reading nothing but good things about this film. People saying that it's the best film, you know, ever made in the last, number of decades. It's been a while since I seen the first Maverick first Maverick, first Top Gun, to the point that I don't remember if I watched it. I'm pretty sure I did, but it's just such a long time ago. But despite that, if anybody's watching this film and they haven't seen the first one, you can still watch this film, and even if you don't know about what happened to Goose and even with Iceman and everybody, all those elements that happened in the first film, you still would be able to follow it because they do reference it, and you do see moments in the film that allude to it. They showed a scene where when we see Goose meet his end. When he died, you see that it's haunting Maverick. We see that it's hasn't left him in the film, 30 plus years, and we find out that he was on numerous occasions saved by now Admiral Lazansky, or we know him as Iceman, played by the great Val Kilmer. I almost forgot his name. I don't know why. One of the greatest actors of our generation. In the film, we see that he's dying of cancer, throat cancer to be specific. Val Kilmer's going through some similar problems too in real life. I'm sometimes thinking that was he, that bad off when they filmed the movie to where did he act as though he couldn't talk because he was on a keyboard, pretty much talking to Tom Cruise through that. Him and their characters were talking. Like he does talk to him. He does, labored. He's labored. His voice is very, very rough, and he can't talk really, really. He can't really talk, but he does, in order to get his real, we call it, his real feelings out there. You know, I mean, I like the last was you telling him stuff like that, like you know, he says he doesn't know if he can teach him. You know, Maverick says that he, and then Iceman saying, well, just teach them. You know, and then he's talking about Goose's son, Rooster, and then he gives him a last message on the keyboard saying it's time to let it go. You see that in this film that he's very, very just, he's still bothered by what happened. It still haunts him. It's still like stuck in there, stuck there somewhere there in his, in his being, and he can't get past it. And you really, really do feel for him, and you want him and Rooster to, to get together and to finally, let bygones be bygones. It's hard, of course. That a situation like that is he's not gonna, leave Rooster. He's not going to not feel bitter towards Maverick, who we find out here that he talking to Jennifer Connelly's character named Penny. And might I add, Jennifer Connelly is still one gorgeous looking woman. She is beautiful. She's very, very just good at what she does. A great actress. From Beautiful Mind and even The Rocketeer. If those of you remember Rocketeer, she was in there, and she does really well as the love interest. And what I liked about this movie is that they didn't stick Tom Cruise with some girl that was in her 20s or 30s. They like to do that sometimes. But the older actors, they always are paired up with someone that's much younger. Here, it's somebody who's around Tom's same age. Maybe it's a few years younger than Tom Cruise, but I love it. It's very believable. It's you love the story between the two. Like when he's going to the bar, which she owns. 3 years ago, she bought the bar, and she's telling him how, you're not going to get me to be with you again. I know what happens. I know what you do. And I love the fact that she has rules. He didn't even tell him she has bar rules. He put his phone on the bar, and she rings the bell. Everybody's yelling. Everybody's cheering. And then she looks at the shows him the rules, and it says don't disrespect the bartender, which is her, the Navy, and don't put your phone on the thing, which is an odd. That's a very odd rule, but hey, you get your rules right. And in that bar scene, we meet all of the prospective, Top Gun cadets. Like I said, you see these guys with call signs. Phoenix and one guy named Bob. And we have Hangman, and then we have Fanboy, and Coyote, right? All those guys, and they're in there, and they're just having whooping it up, having a good time, drinking and playing pool and all that stuff. And then he does notice Rooster comes in, but it's funny because the whole time the way they did it, Rooster's back was towards Maverick, so he didn't see Maverick, but he's in there. And there's a one point, a very poignant point. It's a callback to the first film. Maverick gets, he gets kicked out because he couldn't pay the bill. So, she's smiling, Penny is, and she knows what's going to happen next. And then the two of the cadets, pick him up and they throw him out of the thing. They throw him out, and he's like taking it in stride. Maverick, he's like, all right, all right. Like he was just like, okay, I got it. That's the rules. No hard feelings. And then before that, you see Rooster go to the piano. He starts playing the piano. Plays the piano pretty good, pretty good. And then while Maverick's out there, he hears the song that's being sung. Wow, I should have put that put that down. The song that they were singing, but it gave him a reminder. You can see the scene go back to the first Top Gun, and it's actually his dad playing the piano, and they're singing that song. And you can see the emotion, you can see the tears welling up, and Penny notices it, and she knows what's going on. She knows the whole story. She knows what's going on in his past and everything with Goose and everything. And that was really a really touching moment. It was really sad to see because it reminded him of Goose, and but the problem with the two, I mean, we find out that his mother, Rooster's mother, I'm not Rooster's mother, but Rooster's mother was played by Meg Ryan in the first film. She told Tom Cruise before she passed away, her character passed away. She said that she didn't want him to fly. So Tom Cruise, I mean, Maverick pulls him out of the program, and I guess it set him back a few years, so he wasn't able to be a fighter pilot originally, or like right away. He finds out Goose, Rooster, and he confronts him about it. A lot of that tension between them. And what I liked about it that it wasn't annoying. Like it really was well done, well acted, well scripted. The story was really good. I love that story between the two. The tension, everything that because of the history, because of what happened, he blames Maverick for his dad's death. I mean, there's nothing he can do. There was nothing that Maverick could do to save Goose's life. It just happened. It wasn't his fault. And I like the fact that he realized that later on, and little things that Tom Cruise's character, Maverick, taught Rooster, he would bring it back. Like I remember there was that one scene where he gets mad at thing. He was trying to put the situation again with his dad on Maverick, and then what happens is that Maverick tells him, it's not, he goes, it's not. He says something that he yelled at him. He goes, it's something about it's not the it's not the plane or the jet. It's the pilot. And then Tom Cruise is like, Maverick's like exactly, and he's talking about pretty much hearkening to the fact that it wasn't it was the pilot, meaning that the Goose's death was pretty much on Goose. Not saying that to be cruel to him, but it's just like it was up to I guess it was up to Goose to get himself out of the situation. And then later on, when Tom Cruise when they're fighting those enemy pilots, he tells them there was a situation where he didn't think that he was going to be able to get out of it, and then Rooster harkens back to what was said to him, and he said, "Hey, it's not the plane, it's the pilot." So he knew that it's up to you to get us out of this, and I know you can do it, and he did. You know, the mission really. What I liked about this whole thing was how they built up to the mission. They did the training. They were, they only had like a number of weeks. It was like I think it was like 6 weeks or something, and then it went down to 3. It was just like that where it was cut in half because situations changed. And I love how they were, when they would go out for their to practice, to do their test runs and all that stuff. Really, really good, intense, stuff. Even just the training part was very, very intense. Like Tom Cruise's character, Maverick's just, schooling these kids. He's like they're, they say there's a whole thing of like if they shoot, if he, like it's simulated. So when one of the pilot, one of the planes is in the target, and then you fire at them, they just get a beep. It's not going to be real. It's not real. It's not. They're not going to get shot at, but they know when they're taken out. Now, one of the guys was saying, "Okay, let's put some money on it. I mean, let's not put money, but let's put like a wager. Let's wager. Let's stuff like that to make it more interesting." Like I said, and then Tom Cruise says like, "Whoever, if I take you guys out, you guys have to, give me 200 push-ups." And in a succession of scenes, he takes out every one of them, and then you see them on the flight deck with Hondo leading the charge, counting out their 200 push-ups, and that was hilarious. It was funny because these guys were all cocky. They thought they could take out the guy. The guy Hangman even referred to him as a like an old man, like he's something like that. And the Hangman character could have been annoying. He could have been someone that I couldn't stand in this thing because it's almost like he was the Top Gun Maverick's version of Iceman, because he was kind of like because Iceman, Val Kilmer's character was like that, very cocky in the first film, a guy who thought that he pretty much is the best guy to fight, all that stuff. He butted heads with Maverick in that film, you know. But the actor did a good job in kind of annoying you, but at the same time, the guy is very good. So that's the reason why he talked like that. And we saw what happened when he saved Maverick and Rooster's behinds when they ended up having to go one on one with another with the final like the final boss kind of thing, another fighter, another fighter pilot, one of the enemies, right? And then when they were ready to shoot at them, and they were ready to, he was telling what I call it, to eject, and he couldn't. Rooster couldn't eject and everything like that, and they were just bracing for the worst. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, boom, the enemy fighter plane is taken out of the sky, and then in comes Hangman. And I like that in the end where those guys made up. I mean, well, not made up, but they showed respect. I mean, he even before the what do you call it? Before the mission, Hangman told Rooster, give him hell. And these two were like, like he was pretty rough on him. He was like trying to get under his skin, and he was trying to embarrass him and all that stuff. Was you know out to Rooster. Um, what's it at? Hangman to Rooster. He even brought up the fact that his dad died. In the air or something like that, and then they almost got into a fight. You know, and oh, in the song that they were singing, remember when I said earlier when Rooster was playing piano and it got Maverick thinking back to Goose was Great Balls of Fire. And I like the actor. The actor that the was it his name is first name is I think it's Miles Tiller, I think something like that. But they made him look almost like what's his name, like the guy who played Goose. It really was. Like everybody was cast really well in this film. Everybody was acted very good acting. The acting was really really good in this movie. A great story, a great script. You know, the director did a great job. You know, Tony Scott was the one who directed the first one, and they even gave him a remembrance at the end. You know, and this director, I'm not familiar with his name, but I believe that I did read some of the stuff, and he has a pretty good resume. But very well done. This movie really was so exciting, so amazingly well shot. The fight, the best thing about this, and I liked everything about this movie, but the best parts of it was the dog fights, the training, everything that involved all of the guys, all the cadets, the fighter pilots on the Top Gun program, preparing for this mission, and the mission was insane. I found myself like there was one time where Rooster, because I guess he was just not focused, he was busy, and then he, like that, and this was like when we are doing the mission, and he was going really slow, and the guy behind him, his wingman, was like kind of like or behind him, but then he was like going, hurry up, they were going slow, but but Phoenix and Maverick were up where they needed to be. Now, if Rooster wasn't going to speed up, what was going to happen is they're going to be a minute behind, and then that means that the enemies will be ahead of them. And he just snapped out of it, and he got in there and stuff, and they were able to get right where they need to be. Now, not Rooster, but Maverick and Phoenix were able to hit the initial thing. There's that box shaped there where that uranium enrichment plant was, right? They needed to blast that so that it could leave a hole, and then Goose and the other guys could come in and kind of like shoot the final like torpedoes in there, or not torpedoes, missiles in there to blow up the plant there. They were able to do that, but in between, it's just like you're getting to there, you know, because like I said, Maverick, um, who's the other guys, like yeah, because they had to pick the team, and then we had Phoenix and Fanboy, Payback, Bob, and then Rooster was the wingman, and you know And they picked them to go on the mission, and then Hangman was left with the other guys as the standbys. He didn't take that. He didn't take that very kindly, but he knew the deal, and he knew his place. He knew where to be. There was a time when the mission was done. Okay, they did it, but then they had the guys on their back, the enemy fighters, in there, and that right there was an amazing scene as well. Trying to avoid, they were shooting torpedoes, missiles at, no, I keep saying torpedoes, missiles at them, and then they would let out those flares in order to take those out. And that's a cool, like, I've never seen that. I never knew that that's what you can do, because I'm not a fighter pilot. You know, I've never been one, so I know that, and that was really well done. I love that. And then when Tom Cruise is when Rooster, oh God, when Maverick is like, after everything's done, right, and they're trying to get out of there, he's shot down. They have to go back. John Hamm's character, they call it, God, Cyclone. I mean, that's his call sign. He told them all to go back to the carrier, come back and all that. Hangman said, hey, can I fly out? Can I go fly out and find them? And they said no. They were like, no. But Rooster did. He ends up in the same predicament as Maverick. Maverick pushes him. It's like, what are you doing? It's like that. And he's like, Rooster's like, I saved you. And then Maverick's like, well, I saved you. But they decide, okay, let's not argue. They decide they got to get out of there. They see a plane down there, a jet down there, and it's an old F-14 that he used to take out three planes, I forgot what he said, but and they were able to do that. They were able to get it out of there, but then they got, like you say, bogeys on their tail, and they were able to take them out, which is again another. Like I said, it's just like the first one. It's all about the in-air action. It's all about the dogfights. It's all about that stuff. It's so great, dude. It's right up there with with like all these other films that take place in the air, like Star Wars and all this stuff. It's what really makes you enjoy those type of films. It's like the aerial fights and all that stuff, right? I mean, George Lucas based the the fight scenes in the air, and the TIE fighters and all that stuff off of like watching those dogfights in movies and dogfights in, like, I think he even took it from like World War II footage as well. And this one is just as good, man. It's like the way they film it, the way they, the sound and the effects and everything like that. It's just amazing, you know. And I can see why people were saying that this is probably one of the best films in the last number of decades. One of the best films I've seen, this year. But yeah, I'm gonna close this because I don't want to go too long. I just want to be able to put this video out and to be able to let everybody know that watches this video what I thought about it. But like I said, it was a very, very well done film. I like, um, you know, towards the end, I just love everything that was done. I like the celebration. I like the mutual respect between Hangman and Rooster, and then you see Rooster and Maverick kind of bury the hatchet. They embrace. They say let bygones be bygones, and then we see them working together on that what do you call it, the P-51, and then we see like that love story. We see the ending. We see where Tom Cruise's character Maverick and Jennifer Connelly's character Penny fly off into the sunset. Um, anyway, for those of you who stopped by and checked out my video, I appreciate it. And in closing it, as always, take care.